Thank you to everybody for having me here today. I'd like to welcome everybody to the summit. I think it's a great thing to bring in everybody from Northern Ontario. I know it's a big area, and we've had a beautiful summer, so it's tough being inside, but I think we're all doing it for the same reason, and that's to serve the sport of hockey. When I spoke with Ken and Glenn about coming here today and talking about officiating, one thing they had mentioned is how do we get the officials in our area, how can we get them to the highest level? And it's one thing to move on and be fortunate enough to get to the NHL, but how do we improve officiating everywhere? And just a little bit on me, not only am I lucky enough to be an official in the NHL, I'm lucky enough to coach my kids. So I get to see officiating from both sides of the table, as a parent, as a coach, and as a fan of the game. And I think what's important at every single level is that we recognize why we come to the ring. And I think sometimes that's lost on the way to the ring, and especially when it comes to officiating. There are some people out there that are wannabe officials. And if somebody would have asked me growing up in North Bay, do you want to be a referee in the NHL? I would have said no. I want to be Bobby Orr. I want to play in the NHL. I mean, I didn't go play in the outdoor rinks every night after school because I wanted to referee. For exactly the opposite reason. In fact, when I'm coaching, I'm not really in love with the referees. In fact, they very much get in the way of winning. And it's important. Like the last tournament I'm in, I'm like mad at the referee because one of the girls is on the ice and she's sick and she's been boarded and there isn't a major penalty, and so you want to put the blame on the referee, but that's society. We want to blame somebody. But so growing up as a player and even as a coach, the officials get in the way of winning. And I think when it comes to officiating and thinking of how we get the officials that we have in our area to the next level, we have to recognize that why are they in the game? Why are they serving the game? Are they serving the game because they want the money? I can tell you that the reason that I started officiating was I was making 75 cents the timekeep at the new arena at Double Rinks in North Bay, and it was $1.50 for the guy out there picking up the puck. And I said, I can do that. I'll take the $1.50. Someone else can freeze their ass off at 75 cents. So that's what you needed to do back then, and you needed to do that because you wanted a chips or a pop at the rink. Now the next generation, it's not quite like that. It's dad or mom, can I have 20 bucks? Well, why do I need to work? So we get it. There's a lot of parents in this room, we get it. But as people that run your own organization, we think, okay, we now have officials that are in, they want to do it, they want to officiate. They probably want to be players, and now they want to be officials. So how do we get them to work at the highest level? How do we get them to go to the rink and think not that the game's about them, but they're there to serve the game? How do we get that mindset? How do we have them recognize whether they're doing the smallest kids, the mini-mites, to all the way up to midget AAA? How do we get them to serve the game? How do we get them to work hard? Because nothing bothers me more than a guy that's coaching than when I see the officials not working hard. And I can tell you that most of the time that I'm at the rink, and especially in the girls' side of hockey, and it's the high-level AA girls hockey, they're not working hard. So how do we get officials to think that they need to serve the game regardless of the level at their highest level to give their optimum performance? One way is through management and supervision. I'm sure that the supervisors in this room, the administrators, would say when they're in the building, the officials work harder. They give us their optimum performance. So a long time back in working in the NHL when I went off the ice, I thought, the reason that we officiate, or guys officiate, is because you like the team environment. You like being on a team. You like playing on a team, and now you get to officiate and you're kind of on a team again. So how do we get the officials to believe that they're on a team again? And maybe it's my own thought, but thinking of how to make that team environment was, well, let's reintroduce the game back to the officials. And I'm thinking that out here in this room, would it be too much to ask that when you have a referees clinic, regardless of where you have it, you tell them to bring their sticks and their gloves and their helmets. And you tell them to put the referee gear on, and you put them in teams so that they recognize that, you know, that's why they come to the rink. They don't come to the rink to call 25 minor penalties. They don't come to the rink to throw coaches out. They don't come to the rink to berate players or have fans yell at them. They come to serve the game. So maybe the best thing you could do in a lot of areas is reintroduce the game back to the officials so that they realize what it's like to be a player again, especially for some of the officials that haven't played in a long time. And even allow them to coach themselves so they recognize what it's like to be a coach. Because if you're going to get to the optimum level of officiating, whether it be in Hearst, Sudbury, North Bay, Timmins, Cochrane, doesn't matter. You better understand the participants in the game. Better than those participants understand you. Because most players, if you stop and ask them, I often do for a good laugh, I say to them, hey, you want to ref the game? And they all say the same thing. No fucking way, I never want to do that. So they all think the same way. Whether you're a player or a coach, they don't want to do it. They recognize how difficult it is. But I think it's important that the individual official, regardless of where the official is, understands those animals within the game, understands what it's like to be a player. And if they haven't played in a long time and they've done nothing but officiate, it might serve them well to pick up a stick and put it in their hand again, to know what it's like to get hooked or held, or score a goal, or sit on the bench and coach, what it's like to all of a sudden be on the bench and you got to put your last line out. And they'll know what it's like, what the supervisor or the administrators have when it comes to the end of the year and they might not get picked for the big game, because that happens. And maybe even beyond that, have them on a team. Have them back in that team environment. So they learn to cheer their teammates on when they don't get a playoff selection. And they learn to recognize that their job at the rink, their role at the rink, is it's about the game and serving the game. And Ken was talking about supervision the other day. And I think for a long time, you can overmanage people. You can micromanage people. And I'm not sure that that's going to lead to optimum performance. So I broke it down a long time ago to 3 things, really. Is support. The guys on the ice need to know that they're supported, managing up and managing down. So the guys that are working the games at any level need to know they're supported. The next thing that you need is to inspire their confidence, to get their confidence to the highest level. Because confident officials work best. Anybody that's confident with anything, the confident hockey player works best, plays best. That's when he has his best games, when he feels good about himself, he or she. And then fine-tune. Their job would be to fine-tune. So that's from the manager in to get the officials to optimum performance. And then people quite often say, well, you know, these officials are lazy, they're not in shape, they're not working very hard. Well, that might be true. That might be true. And one of the reasons you officiate, I believe you officiate, is to stay active. So in your individual area, there's all sorts of people out there that are power skating instructors that teach off-ice training. If you want to create a bit of a team culture, if you want to make the officials the best that they can be, this is a new dawn, this is a new era. We used to go to training camp and basically see, you know how many days you're at camp by the number of cases of beer that we're piling up in the hallway, okay? That's not the way anymore. You go to camp and you're expected to be in shape. You're expected to hit the ground running. Well, with officiating, maybe that's the next step. Maybe the next step is you have power skating instruction for your officials. Maybe the next step is you have someone come in, a trainer, to speak to the officials in your area about being in better shape, eating better. Because when you hit the ice, and all the sports are doing it now, used to just be hockey guys were in shape. That's not the case anymore. You watch baseball, basketball, football even, they're worried about conditioning. They're worried about people, their perception of the guys that are calling the game, because they don't want that to be an objection. So that's the next step. The next step maybe for amateur officiating is to ensure that the guys in your area achieve their optimum performance level. Give them the tools, give them the right direction, create that team environment for them. Now, people say, well, where are the next officials coming from? We have issues at every single level. I can assure you, we had people in Europe for 3-4 years looking for officials. There's lots of people that want to officiate. There's probably lots of people that think they can officiate. But if you have people that are officiating that never had a stick in their hand, you better get a stick in their hand. It's going to be hard for them not to be able to do it well. They don't even understand what making a pass is or going offside is. And then for the officials, I often think of the systems that we're talking about today. We've sort of evolved along to the four-man system, and everybody believes that that's the optimum system. And looking back, there was pretty much a two-man system for a long time, or two-person system. And that two-person system always allowed support, one official for the other. And people don't want to take the time to think about it. But the reason that games are officiated poorly, probably in amateur hockey, is because of the undue influence that takes place from coaches and parents. And that's what beats down the official. Looking back, the hardest of hockey to officiate was midget AAA. Because you had the kids whose testosterone was humming, you had the coaches who all thought they were going to the NHL, and you had the parents of every one of those kids thought their kid was going on, so they were emotionally charged and involved. If you could get through that, I always thought when I was living in Sudbury, get through that midget AAA, get through that hockey, boy, everything after that is just a little bit easier. So, what can we do to help officials? One, make sure you have 2 referees on the ice. Every single game, everywhere. Now, does that mean we need 2 linesmen on the ice every game? Delayed offside. If you come through a system where you have 2 referees on the ice and they're used to calling icing and they're used to calling offsides, and you add a linesman to help them, that would seem like an evolutionary system. And if you have a ton of money, you add another linesman. But to do it the other way, I don't think makes a lot of sense with the speed of the game today. By the time I got to doing university hockey with the red line out, I was maybe 23, 24 years old. Could barely keep up then. And I would consider myself an average to good skater. Could barely keep up then. So why wouldn't you put 2 guys out in the ice? Not just to serve the game, because everyone's going to say it's going to lead to inconsistency, it's going to lead to, it's going to lead to better officiating, because you're not going to be focused on one referee. You're not, the fans and the players and the coaches aren't going to be challenging and venting on one person. And they are going to have each other. You will also keep your senior guys longer. And you want to keep your senior guys longer to mentor the younger guys. And the younger guys coming along will be able to go into higher levels of hockey quicker. So you'll have more officials a longer period of time. Then you have a linesman, you introduce him to the game early. And if you have enough money, you put another linesman out. But I wouldn't do it the other way. I wouldn't say, oh, we got lots of money. We have enough money for 2 linesmen, we only have enough money for 1 ref. I'd be going, we need enough money for 2 referees. And if we have more money, we add a linesman. That way, mentally, as an official, you won't be as beaten down when you're doing it on a part-time basis. You won't have the people leaving that will leave officiating because of abuse. And you're going to get abuse. Guaranteed. You don't go to a rink that isn't cordoned off from parents and not take abuse, because hockey's one of those games, and I see it a lot because I live in the US now. Parents that know nothing about the game become immediate experts. And they're experts first on officiating. They got it. They know it from the drop of the puck. And so I always say it's the Canadianization of America, because all Canadians are like that. So it's not a bad thing. It just means we're emotionally charged for the game and the sport of hockey, which is probably the best. That's why we love it. We don't even know why we love it, but that's why we love it. So I think when you look at officiating and think about where are we going to go with officiating, how do we get officiating to the next level? Well, I think somebody referred to it already today, about making sure that our raw material is right. And what I mean by that raw material is raw material is that video. It is getting that bantam midget hockey player to try it. It is getting that junior player that's back in town that might be working at a accounting firm to get him to try it. There's a big shortage of everything in hockey. There's a shortage of good coaches. There's a shortage of good trainers. There's a shortage of good officials. There's a shortage of good administrators. There's a shortage of everything. It's just not officiating, but officiating is something that's focused on. And there's a big shortage of the right attitude coming to the rink. So I see the challenge for everyone in hockey is to make sure that officials, at least from an officiating perspective, come to the rink to serve the game. Not coming there for any other reason. Come to serve the game and work hard in the game. And if you can't do that, if you think it's beneath you, then don't go on the ice. And I think as administrators, if you can create a team environment where they recognize that they're putting the game first, their teammates second, and themselves third, they won't let you down when they step on the ice. And you know, you watch NHL games and you see the guys and they come to work and they're energized and they're ready to go. Well, yeah, they're getting paid well, but that's habits. Those have been habits that have been built over time. That didn't start, they didn't just wake up and go, whoa, I'm in game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs and I'm going to work hard tonight. Way back when, somewhere along the way, whether it was, you know, Sudbury Minor, Timmins Minor, North Bay Minor, they started working hard and serving the game. And they never thought that a game was beneath them. Because if you did, you would go in, it would be like saying, oh, you know, I got a team that's not playing so well, like say the New York Islanders, I don't have to work as hard tonight. So I always think that if we can get that mentality down to the amateur hockey, I think fans will see these officials working hard. They'll see them in good shape. They'll see them supporting one another. And you know what? They'll say less about them. But if they do just the opposite, it's opposite of that. The guy comes in that always does junior hockey, and now he's doing a pee-wee game, and he doesn't hustle, doesn't work hard, gives a I don't care attitude, because he forgets that he's serving the game, his teammates, and himself last, then it starts to break down. And it breaks down all the way back to a lot of your offices right here and people in this room. So, lucky in life? Yeah, real lucky in life. You know, you're lucky in life if you can stay in hockey and stay in the game. And we're all lucky in that way. And how we get people to get out of Northern Ontario and get to the next level? Well, I think we make it so that it's fun for them. So it's fun for them to officiate. It's fun for them to serve the game. And reintroduce hockey back to them if necessary, if you think they've forgotten about it. Reintroduce it. And you know what else it's going to do? There's going to be guys and girls within your organization that think that they can referee forever. They think they can referee forever. They may not see themselves as you see them. Put a stick in their hand and put a helmet on them. And think, if they can't play recreational hockey at a pretty high level, it's going to be very difficult for them to go out and do the university and the junior game that they think they should be doing. They'll recognize it right away. Or it'll push them to see a power skater and someone to push their fitness level. Because it's real hard to tell somebody, hey, listen, you're fat, you're out of shape, you can't skate. Try that. Try saying that to your wife or anybody. Difficult thing to do. So, when the topic came up about optimizing performance, there's the mental side of it that I think you have a lot to do with. There's the physical side of it, and then there's that sort of intrinsic thing, that self-pride that everybody, you have to try to entice and build and grow within your organization so that everybody knows whether they're in Timmins, North Bay, Sudbury, wherever they are, that they serve the game first, teammates second, themselves third. And if you do that, then you'll get optimum performance out of your people, guaranteed, and the game will be better for it. That's all I got.